The year is 2012, and in the dead of a Halloween night, you find yourself desperately bored. So fittingly, you decide to scour the web for a horror game, hoping to add to the unmistakably dreary atmosphere. Eventually, you are faced with a website, having found something incredibly unique. I'm scared. Of course, intrigued, you decide to download the executable, completely unaware about just what you were getting yourself into. After having located the folder in which I'm Scared resides and booting up the game, you're given an oddly foreboding message.
The game will try to deceive you as many times as it can. In case something goes wrong, feel free to check the folder in order to report any error.
Followed by an apology.
I'm extremely sorry. I didn't really want to do that. Forgive me.
From here, you find yourself trapped in a near empty room, with nothing except for a locked wardrobe closet, bed, and table. Next to the wardrobe, you notice a door with the word exit written in what appears to be blood. Unfortunately, the door happens to be locked as well. Examining the table, you find a key beneath, which allows access to the closet. Once opened, not only do you find blood oozing down the back of it, but while you are distracted, a hallway opens up behind you, with a different floor type, guiding you to a ladder, descending into a dark abyss. Reaching the bottom, you are met with a severely decrepit hallway, the walls covered in notable amounts of wear. Reluctantly moving forward, after passing a few locked doors, one finally gives way. Within this room, there are two things of note: a rusty key conveniently placed behind a bookshelf, and an opening in the vastly decayed wall. Taking a look through the gash, barely illuminated in the darkness, you make out a chair, hauntingly next to a particularly tight rope that is attached to the ceiling. After exploring a bit more, you have your first encounter with an unknown entity, sporting a ghostly white complexion and an ominously large smile, just behind a set of metal bars before slowly fading out of view. As you continue exploring, reaching an impasse, you hear a laugh. Following this, you notice a nearby painting is now dripping with blood. Continuing your playthrough, you find a door that opens up to a room made of a deep red, fleshy substance that when walked upon sounds considerably wet. At the end of this hallway, you find and collect some sort of pulsating heart. Attempting to leave this room is futile, as the entity you had come across minutes prior advances you before you get the chance, just as the game crashes. Upon crash, you find two files have been created within the I'm Scared folder: a black PNG titled Hello and a text file titled Attention. This text file has some very interesting information.
There is a way to turn an entity into data. They have a life of their own, and it is difficult to distinguish them from normal computer files. In our actions of every day while we sit at the computer, this byte entity observes us and studies our every move and fear. The game is simple. Following the arrows is the key. If you get caught, you lose. A sound will predict its arrival. It is Whiteface.
Upon reopening the game, new text appears reading,
Hello, do you know my name?
Of course, having read the text document and inputting the words Whiteface, you are immediately transported to a parking garage enveloped in darkness. Barely illuminated within the shadows, you make out the words,
Let's play tag.
once again, written in blood. As you make your way through the location, as the text file said, you are meant to walk over each of the yellow arrows painted on the pavement. As you do, bloody writings appear in its place. All the while you are doing this, Whiteface, who presumably teleported you here, is relentlessly chasing you down. Eventually, after clearing the room, you are given access to a previously locked door that leads you to an elevator. After After exiting the elevator, you find yourself at one end of a short road, where as you continue, Whiteface can be seen rapidly speeding past you, almost tauntingly. Carrying on, you eventually reach a gate with bloody text on the opposite side reading,
One of them is lying.
Turning around, you notice a long line of blood guiding you through the darkness to a key lying in a pool of that same blood. This key is used to unlock the aforementioned gate, which, when opened, takes you back to the impasse, except now accessible. Due to your newfound pulsating heart, you decide to go ahead and unlock the door at the beginning. And in doing so, you're prompted with a black screen with text that reads,
The end.
But of course, remembering the warning, the game will try to deceive you, and shortly after closing the game, it reopens itself, having placed you in some sort of cave. The game closes, and a text file titled,
I'm sorry.
appears in the folder.
It's not going to let you go. I shouldn't have told you to go on. Follow my instructions. Don't let the game's appearance deceive you from now on. Things change, it arrives. Take some time and try to escape.
After everything, it is abundantly clear that there is something more to this game. Whatever or whoever this Whiteface is, it has an unmistakable amount of power over the game and your computer by proxy. In contrast, it is becoming increasingly more complicated deciding who to trust, as there appears to be two conflicting entities, Whiteface and the entity responsible for sending you the text files and introductory messages. The complication arises from the brief yet substantial message, one of them is lying. At this point, you have to make a decision. Continue and potentially put a stop to whatever Whiteface is, or submit, potentially allowing Whiteface free reign over whatever it has gotten its hands on of yours thus far. Reluctantly, you comply. Instead of the previously flesh-coated room, you find yourself residing within a radiant building with several rooms and 2 balconies. Unfortunately for you, escape is not an option, as the door behind you is sealed with flesh. From here, you discover each of the doors are assigned a number, eventually finding some pincers and collecting your first key. But just as you do so, you're back into the darkness, and Whiteface is observing. Picking up key 7, the lighting returns, and text appears, reading,
Help me. I don't want to die. I'm scared.
Opening door 7,
This is my room. Do you see how dark it is? It's cold. But I can look at you. Look at me. Are you scared? I am scared.
You are then transported to another room. A faint sound can be heard.
Your clothes.
You find the key to door 2, the room covered in flesh. Collecting the key on the floor, things change. Everything is flesh. A sound emanating throughout the room. The building appears to be growing as you open door 6, and an impossibly placed hallway appears. You are back at the start, right where everything began. You open the exit door. Darkness. Then, you see Whiteface, and that familiar setting.
Congratulations. You made it to the end. But you can't escape from here. Stay with me. I will always be here, looking at you.
Walking up to the chair, the game closes with a disturbing undertone. 2 new files appear in the folder. a PNG titled Goodbye, and a text document titled 0. Goodbye features what can be interpreted as your perspective shortly after stepping on the chair, whereas 0 reads,
It's alive. It's real. It's changing again, like the last time. What form will it take? It's just a phantom of deception.
Whether you like it or not, you are buckled in. After some time, it appears a familiar face has returned. The infestation within your computer still resides even 4 years later. So, you investigate, and text appears.
Before starting, just consider that this game differs from others. If you don't take this in consideration, please quit the game by pressing the escape key. There's a room I think you want to avoid. Please, the game takes you in that room. Close it immediately. I'm really sorry. Forgive me.
You are then placed in a strange location surrounded by several windows, one singular piano directly in front of you, and various paintings of now distant memories. Deciding to proceed, you are met with a decision to go left or right. Starting with left, you reach a locked door. Just as you begin making your way to the alternative path, you barely catch a glimpse of what appears to be a ghostly white arm disappearing into the room you had just exited. Following suit, you find not a human, but a pool of blood underneath the previously spotless piano. This pool of blood holds a key, which should grant access to the aforementioned locked room. Opening this door, you find a small room with a chair and a table sat in the middle. Against the wall lies a bookshelf with notable amounts of damage on the floor, indicating it is barricading some sort of opening. After having found nothing of significance, you depart to the opposing hallway. As you proceed, you find a door which, when opened, exposes another hallway with another door. Attempting to make progress, you continuously open and walk through each presumed exit, seemingly unable to get anywhere. Eventually, you encounter something very unexpected. Proceeding once more, you find a dead end. Red text fills your central vision, though reversed. The words read,
Where was she pointing at?
Of course, you vaguely recollect the direction in which the entity was pointing, and starting from the bloodstain, phase through the wall. Directly in your line of sight, your first observation is a painting standing directly in opposition to you, a ghostly portrait with text below finally giving you the information as to who this apparition was. Her. Interacting with it, text appears reading,
There was a hidden button behind the painting.
Just as you begin to leave, you recognize a door you hadn't yet considered, and, strangely, it is locked shut. Deciding to explore some more, you find that the button had caused an aforementioned bookshelf to swing open. Reluctantly proceeding, you find her ominously floating near a balcony of sorts, though seemingly unfazed by the rain, attention fully on the darkness ahead. After building up the courage to approach, you
6. Roll. 2.
Making your return, you decide to make haste in the direction of where the game crashed, to which you find nothing but a pool of blood and a cellar key. Observing your surroundings, you find a section of the balcony railing had been removed, implying heavily that her had jumped, backed up by the blood trail. Continuing your exploration, you head to the hallway where the aforementioned locked door was located, to which you notice a particular individual is missing from a nearby painting. Unlocking the door with the key and entering, you discover the usual items you would expect to find within a cellar. Amidst the many shelves, you find a pool table, with each ball sporting one of 4 number and color combinations. Nearby, there lies a hallway, decorated with the same empty picture frames as before. This hall directs you to a room where you must input the quantity of each colored ball, ignoring the numbers listed on them. 5 red, 1 yellow, 3 blue, and 4 green. After correctly inputting these, you hear a familiar giggle, followed up by a nearby gate opening, allowing access to a conveniently placed rope. Now, although you feel like safety is sure to arrive, an achievement appears at the bottom of your screen, "Don't touch me," and you realize you are being watched. Each portrait, her almost taunting you. Trying your best to get out unscathed, you hear a buzz. Run. Reopening the game, after whatever that was, you're right back where you left off. Heading back to the missing railing, you drop down the rope and begin your descent. Or so you thought. Familiar. You've been here before, haven't you? This same balcony where you once resided. An image flashes before your eyes, her slowly making her way toward you, just before you come to. A key rests on a nearby table, a glimpse of that room. You see her, but that is all you're allowed.
But it's not time to see it. Feed me, share me, play with me. I'm yours.
Your computer goes dark. The game opens back up to the usual starting area. Whiteface would love nothing more than to see you endure your past once again. Of course, due to this, you know precisely what to do. Grab the little key, unlock the closet door, climb down the ladder, acquire the rusty key, enter the flesh-coated room, collect the pulsating heart. Whiteface clearly does not want to make this easy. Reopening the game, it's time to play tag yet another time. As you walk along the familiar yellow arrows, you find the intensity of your experience prior has subsided, allowing you to fully take in your surroundings. Although this had always been there, you recognize the blood appearing beneath you, reading different words.
I'm scared. I'm crying. How are you? Liar. After you. Hello. WF.
Finishing up, you hear a familiar ding, indicating the elevator has arrived. Departing to the street, text at the bottom of the screen reads,
I love watching you.
while Whiteface once again darts past you. This time, you decide to slow down, exploring a bit before departure. Decorating the nearby pillars, what can only be described as skinless individuals are found attached by unknown means, with dry blood staining the paint below. As you stare blankly at this unsettling sight, a window opens up.
How to play I am scared. 1 of 3.
How to play I'm Scared. To play I'm Scared, you just have to think outside the box. To do so, I've made an example just for you. Let's pretend that
Within
there's
this 58-second video, an unnamed individual begins narrating precisely how to escape the starting room. At the end of the video, text can be seen reading,
6 will do.
"You keep this in mind." Taking into consideration that this is one of 3, you take a look at the poster's YouTube channel and find the second video.
How to play I'm Scared. To play I'm Scared, you just have to think outside the box. To do
Once
so,
again,
I've
the same
made an
structure of information is relayed to you, this time referring to anomalies that you've previously come across on your desktop. As the person showcases a text box, you once again see the familiar.
6.
As the video comes to a close, you notice, strangely, there is no final post. But now that you've finished watching what you can only presume as Whiteface tauntingly reminding you of something you clearly understood, you return to the task at hand. Except, curiously, you are not where you left off. A sign, directly in front of you, reads,
You shouldn't be here.
Concerned how you arrived in this location, you take a step back, finding you are not alone. A ghoulish, stretched entity akin to both Whiteface and her simultaneously observes motionless from above. A gramophone lies nearby. You begin looking around. Walking along the flesh-coated flooring, you find a small section of grass with a gate obstructing you from a house just barely in view. Elsewhere, you find some sort of metal flooring leading to nothing, and a door labeled exit, but it does not function. So, you close and reopen the game. Fortunately, or unfortunately for you, you recognize this location all too well. The last memory you have of being here, you weren't allowed to proceed, as her stopped you dead in your tracks. Proceeding as normal, using vague memories as a roadmap, you hear a familiar, whining sound. Contrary to before, you recognize the voice replicating a particular tune, specifically the song you hear each time you open the game. After some further exploration, you find the room once again enveloped in flesh, leading you to the pulsating heart door. You know what is to come. Whiteface awaits on the opposing side of the door. You are once again enticed to stay with it forever. You try to escape using the only method at your disposal.
I'm afraid I can't let you do that.
The game closes, but you know your journey is far from over. Upon reopening, you take comfort in the fact that you are once again in a familiar location, but that comfort does not stay for too long, remembering what's to come. Of course, since you are familiar with this location, you take some time examining the various rooms as you progress. A sign near a window reads,
Please be quiet.
So, of course, you curiously decide to poke the bear, and
Quiet. I said.
returning to the task at hand, you make your way to the cellar, acquire the rope, and brace yourself for what is about to come. Contrary to before, after casting the rope, not only do you end up in a completely different location, but what appears to be some sort of hedge maze. Following the path, something intriguing occurs. Something that appears to be a screen on a segment of the bush displays text reading,
I found a way to help you while in game. Reduce the window with F4 key and check the game folder for here.txt. The solution lies there.
The first question one has to consider, who is talking to you? Given prior context, it only makes sense to imagine the individual responsible for sending you on this journey in the first place is the one being referred to here, so not having many options, you willingly comply. A text document arrives with two very interesting pieces of information, a video link and a map. What are you? Watching the video a second time, you gather few pieces of information. Aside from the obvious showcasing a presumed alternate path, you see glimpses of the peculiar room you had found yourself in before with that strange entity suspended in the air, and, naturally, whatever this is. Of course, it is nearly impossible to determine just what you have been faced with, so there appears to be only one choice: to investigate. Following the path further, you immediately recognize the tiled walkway from the video and begin replicating exactly what the uploader acted out, only to learn you had been tricked, and for seemingly no reason. You make your way back out and discover another file appeared within the folder, realone.html.
Don't be deceived. The other one is lying. From now on, follow the instructions of this HTML file, for it is trying to deceive you one more time. Follow the map. You'll find a key. With that key, you'll be able to destroy the lock on your game folder that's keeping the green gate locked. Oh, I almost forgot. This list will be useful later when you'll find the mirror.
Interestingly, within this HTML file, you find not only a map, but, as mentioned, a list including dozens of phrase and number combinations that serve a currently unknown purpose. Inspecting the map further, you recognize it is infinitely more refined, showcasing elements that were more difficult to comprehend. One aspect in particular being a region to the far left that appears to be missing from the original map. Investigating, you find yet another hidden pathway. Immediately, you recognize a trail of blood leading to the right, so of course, you follow. Turning around and heading back, you take notice of a secondary pathway and begin following, completely unaware regarding just what you were about to find. What can only be described as a headless, ghostly white, slender individual is seen strung up by one of their ankles, suspending them just barely off the ground. Upon interacting with this entity, the atmosphere shifts, the lighting changing from somewhat illuminated to entirely dark. A gate blocks the way back, remaining locked shut. An achievement appears on your screen.
Thanks for staying.
It's unclear who this mysterious figure is based off of the information you've been given, but at least you know they were grateful of your company. Re-interacting with this individual, the lighting returns, and you begin making your way back outside. At the end, having exhausted all other routes, the final area remains only blocked by a singular green gate. Of course, you had just collected the labyrinth key, so naturally you presume these are related, except somehow the gate remains locked. After several minutes of searching around, you consider the text file on your desktop titled Lock, and, on a whim, destroy it. The gate opens. A text panel is seen ahead, presumably used to unlock the gate residing next to it. You begin roaming and find a maze entrance. A broken statue lies at the end of the road, and quite interestingly, is headless with what can only be presumed as blood leaking out of it.
2 on left, 2 on right.
Keeping this in mind, you decide to walk around, choosing the right side first. Your efforts are halted as you reach a swift dead end. Reluctantly, you head back and choose the left path. You follow, reaching a large circular framing missing whatever it was supposed to be holding. Text on the ground reads,
Look at the mirror.
Clearly, there is no mirror as of yet, so you presume the aforementioned
2 on left, 2 on right.
is referencing either possible mirror locations or pieces of the mirror scattered about. As you roam this hedge maze, you eventually come face to face with presumably a mannequin, fittingly missing its head. You interact with it, and similar to before, the lighting entirely changes. You panic and begin running, eventually recognizing a similar entity strung up by their leg, except this time sporting clothes. You interact, and the lighting returns. Confused, you carry on, recognizing strange statues with almost no meaning. You quickly find that each time you are in this alternate lighting zone, contrary to before, each of the gates disappear, allowing you to access previously blocked areas. Whilst roaming the darkness, you find a long stretch where a morphed face can be seen floating above. At the end, you find a statue with text below, reading,
Help me.
Aimlessly making your way around, completely lost, having no remaining sense of direction, you find her, standing in the darkness. You approach and interact. Noticing she is blocking a shard piece, her stance changes. Clearly you are being played with, a reminder that you are in fact not the one in control here. Collecting the final pieces, you reach the mirror and peek through it. A series of words can be seen written on the floor, corresponding to one of the names in real1.html. Trying to take in all of this information, something unexpected occurs. After that, you quickly make your way out. Heading to the locked gate, you open the HTML file and input the 5-digit code. You're back. Except, now what? You take a look around, investigating. You recognize the decayed hole in the wall from before as it almost beckons for your attention. Her. The dark scene that previously remained has now been replaced by a marked grave. You walk away. While exploring, you find the station key hidden in one of the many sliding door cabinets. You use it on a previously locked door and head inside of the elevator within. The doors open to a slightly decayed pastel blue hallway with strange patterns on the floor. It is completely dark. You follow, and it just won't stop going. Eventually, you reach a dead end. As you stare confused, you suddenly hear breathing. You freeze, knowing for sure someone is behind you. You slowly turn around, only to find nothing. You breathe a sigh of relief and begin walking back, only to notice a door that you don't recall being there before. You enter and begin hearing a peculiar tune playing in the darkness. You notice several different pathways, almost maze-like. The only thing you can consider is to follow the sound, but as you pursue, humanoid white creatures strung up by their hands drop in front of you from dark, endlessly tall portions of the ceiling. You notice these creatures are very reminiscent of the individuals you saw nailed to the pillars in a previous portion of the game. Continuing through the dark labyrinth, you hear whining. You realize not only are these creatures in this maze, but her is here as well. Evading her, you find a gramophone is the source of the music, and upon interacting, it is shattered, the song moving to another location, where of course another gramophone lies. Destroying the final gramophone, the lighting returns, the music stops. Yellow arrows appear on the ground pointing you to an exit. A key lies on the floor, allowing you access to a door which was previously locked. You eventually find this metro and take note of a few things: a train schedule screen to the left of the door, and a ticket receiver with a clock reading the time. Taking a look back at the train schedule, you see 3 destinations listed: work at 7:45 a.m., home at 8:23 p.m., and finally truth at 12 a.m. Fortunately for you, the clock had just struck midnight. A train arrives. A ticket falls to the floor. Now is your chance to learn the truth.
You're reaching the end.
The train takes off. Darkness fills the windows. A bed lies in the middle of the train. Breathing can be heard coming from it. You reach the end of the train. A button lies in front of a screen. The screen reads,
I hope you reach this sign in a minute. There's a new file on the desktop, but I know it wants to destroy it. I hope it's still there. If not, I'm sorry.
Luckily for you, a text file remains on the desktop.
To the ones playing, to the ones watching, there is a way to turn an entity into data. But if it's of data we're talking about, then there must be a way to get rid of it. If you really want to delete whiteface from your computer, there is only one way. Keep playing. Keep watching.
Unfortunately, this is very cryptic. Reluctantly doing as the message requests, you keep playing, pressing the nearby button. You begin walking back, only to find another button. Doing laps back and forth, you notice a growth forming under the blanket, seemingly the source of the breathing. Upon pressing the button a final time, all of the sound cuts out. The train seemingly no longer moving. The breathing ceased. You continue to the end of the train, the mass gone from the bed. Whatever was there has now escaped. The screen at the end now reading,
Come and face the truth.
the front of the train is now completely missing. An empty void lies ahead. You realize the train was nothing more than a facade. The lights passing by, nothing more than white circles routinely looping past you. The train floating in nothingness. You see something in the distance. Her, observing you. As you approach, she vanishes. The game closes. You quickly reopen the game. This can't be it. You know there has to be more. A road lies ahead. You are fenced in. no choice but to continue forward.
So, this is a goodbye. If things go as I think, you'll have to shoot with left click of the mouse. But I have to say, I don't think it will give you bullets. I'm sorry. 6 will do.
That recurring message you've seen all too many times. What could it possibly mean? You continue, reaching nothingness. A forest comes into view, strange blue splatters on the floor. A familiar gravesite lies ahead.
You made me think about life. About appearance. It changed bit by bit. I really don't like what happened to me. You want this nightmare to end? Then kill me in front of my birthplace.
Frantically clicking, the gun does not fire. She catches you. And confused, you realize a new file had appeared in the folder, revolver.txt. You open it and realize exactly what the infamous 6 means. You change the 0 and reopen the game, this time prepared. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
Once she stops moving, you realize you are Whiteface. Everything fades to black. You're placed back in the piano room. A slow tune of the theme song plays ominously in the background. You follow the routine path, eventually reaching a white abyss. You close the game. A folder appears, Layer, with a text file inside sharing the same name.
The curtain falls. I want to share a story with you. I've never had the chance to be a child, but when I was a child, I always thought about awful things. One day, my brother went to an appliance store, leaving me in the back seat of the car. I looked at him entering the store, disappearing behind the sliding doors. Then my head drew a scenery. Oh no, my brother got impaled by some sort of electrical appliance. There's blood everywhere. What should I do now? The truth is, I never had a brother. As her, to talk was not my thing. I just wanted to entertain you. Maybe I should go back or change again. You changed me, and now I'm not scared. No, I'm worried. Maybe that's why I'm using all these commas I never liked that much. Maybe I'll let you play with me for a short time instead of the opposite. It'll be fun.
Having read this, you are confused. Though you understand Whiteface and her are one of the same, personalities separate from one another, with varying qualities. Near the end of the message, you were invited to play, so you reopen the game. The title screen is changed. Whining can be heard, while placed in front of you is that same disturbing sight you find all too familiar. You continue. As the screen fades in, a grocery store fills your view. Behind you is a glass door unable to be opened. You have no choice but to continue down the aisle.
Check the to-do list.
Written in what can only be presumed as blood can be seen posted to the wall ahead. Taking the advice of the message, you look back at your desktop and expectedly see a text document titled To-Do List.
This reality will never collide with the other one, but the events of one alters the twin and vice versa. Have you already tried resetting? See what's on the other side? This place is filled with the same products everywhere, isn't it fun? Tomorrow's your turn. Don't forget to check the freeze room, send the mail, send to market orders with the computer, toss the useless garbage in the office. We should really clean that place more. Try out the auxiliary generator. If the PC gives problems, just shut it down. Power button's broken, though. If you don't find the office keys, I'll send someone with them as soon as you deliver the mail.
So, everything you need to expect before proceeding has been laid out for you. Presumably, resetting the game will provide access to this other side in this alternate reality the author of the message is referring to. Before doing so, you decide to begin your assigned tasks. Of course, starting with checking the freeze room. Since this location is unfamiliar to you, getting a feel for the general layout was first priority. During the investigation, you noticed every single door in the building was locked shut, meaning there has to be a key somewhere. Eventually, you notice a small opening almost completely hidden away in a corner, providing the refrigerator key. Upon locating the locked door, the first thing you notice is a small piece of paper at your feet. Strangely, after a few minutes have passed of you interacting with different objects, one door in particular finally gives you the prompt.
You slipped the letter under the door.
Looking around some more, you find absolutely nothing of significance, and after walking around for what felt like an eternity, you reset the game. And to your surprise, you find out just what is on the other side. The dots finally connect, slowly making progress, completing whatever game this had become, utilizing both perspectives. Immediately, you rush for the door the note had been slipped under. It was there. Now to find the mailbox, which was easier than you had expected. And of course, reset the game. As listed in the previous message, the office keys were in fact delivered after the mail, giving you free reign over this office. Inside, you find a box cutter on the floor and a computer with green text reading,
Press E to send data.
Following orders, you begin sending the data, only for it to display an error message.
Please reboot.
Before resetting, you toss the useless garbage in a trash bin near the front and reset the game. After resetting, the aforementioned box cutter is now lying next to the trash bag outside. From here, you locate and sever the wires powering the building. This should, in theory, shut down the PC. Resetting another time, although you should have been anticipating this, things are noticeably different. It is completely dark. Breathing can be heard, as what can be presumed to be a glass jar rolls across the floor, with glass breaking in the distance. After stammering around, eventually you locate the auxiliary generator, and everything returns to normal. The computer now reading,
Data sent to /IMSCARED.
a folder awaits you titled Enter a Great Place, with 26 of the 27 individual text files sporting a...
Single random number.
The 27th text file is titled Instructions, reading,
It's really fun, but you're reaching a point of no return. Please stop. I don't want to die. I want to help you.
and a YouTube link at the bottom. A 4-second video titled
A lot of nothing.
featuring the one and only her. The description reads,
Try asking me this.
and some sort of fill-in-the-blanks message. An important thing you notice about the video are the impossible-to-miss red alternating numbers at the bottom of the screen. After you compile these in order, taking into account the pauses, it reads
17, 7, 4, 9, 15, 9, 17, 13, 17, 20, 9, 2, 13, 1.
returning to the
Enter a great place.
folder and matching each corresponding number to its listed letter, you get the words.
Take me to the door.
After making this revelation and attempting to open the game, instead, you are prompted with a text window. You are then faced with a hauntingly dark hallway. Garnet-covered bricks surround your peripheral. Continuing ahead, you find several rusty pipes. The only noise audible outside of your footsteps are the sounds of dripping water. You find 3 rooms. 2 of these are gated shut. Walking into the only accessible one, you are startled, hearing loud bursts of steam coming from a broken pipe. Conveniently placed, there is a sign against the wall.
Pipes. A.
Passing many fans, you eventually find a large machine with a switch meant to be flipped. After having done so, all of the fans in unison activate. flooding the hall with a repetitive noise. Beginning your trip back, you notice the steam that had previously blocked the secondary hallway is now gone, giving you access. At the end of this hallway is a valve resting next to the large fan, though as you turn back, you realize the exit is also gone. You hear a familiar laugh and turn around, Whiteface gazing at you from the darkness behind the blades.
Do you want to?
Arriving back at the main area, you find you're meant to place the valve in this large piece of machinery in the center. This opens up the next gate.
Vibes. Be.
Immediately after entering, you find a series of conveyor belts guiding you in different directions, and just before that, a map, giving you some sort of idea regarding the layout. You decide to step on one at random and begin traversing in the dark. Images of Whiteface eerily stare from different corners of the room. Eventually, you find a lever and subsequently flip it, unsure about its purpose. You hear whistling and see
You broke it. I don't want to.
Carrying on, you finally locate the second valve and begin making your way back. You notice the sign by the entrance changed.
I'm waiting.
You place valve B and head into the seemingly final room. You freeze.
I am behind you.
You begin hearing a faint sound slowly approaching. You turn around, only to see Whiteface rapidly gaining on you, turning around fast and making a break for it. In a panic, you continue walking, only to find the door ahead is locked. Backtracking slightly, you notice a key tucked away behind a chair. Knowing to keep an eye out for hiding spots, you find yet another key, this time more obviously placed. You now have access to sprinting once again, the layout of this section reminiscent of the garage. A familiar ding plays, the door opening. You're nearing the end. And finally, you're out. You place the final valve and flip the previously unusable lever. The strange piece of machinery in the center of the room begins rising, uncovering a hidden pillar with a metal door facing you. Reluctantly, you open it, and you are met with an ultimatum.
Welcome to the door. This is your last choice. You enter this door, our game will end for real. Please, please, please pick up the flower and give it to me. I'll reset everything we did until now.
Two options now lie ahead. A small flower on the floor, which requires you to trust Whiteface, or the large exit door, presumably ending the game one final time. Of course, this is a very difficult decision, but you know deep down this thing, this entity, needs to be destroyed. It cannot be trusted. You choose the door. You are now placed in a monochrome variation of the starting room you've come to know so dearly. Instinctively, you check underneath the table and, expectedly, a key. You open the closet and turn around. Once again, expectedly, a hallway opens, except this time, you are not alone.
I begged you, and you ignored my request. What do you think will happen next?
Splitting sounds fill your ears, Whiteface clearly looking damaged. It's fighting back, Whiteface shifting forms right in front of your eyes.
You made this game unplayable. I made this game unplayable. I don't want you to kill me. I will live here forever. I will look at you forever. I don't want to die. I'm scared.
You reopen the game, only to be attacked once more. Reopening again, you're unnerved, but you know you have to persevere. This entity cannot win. Once more it attacks. And attacks. until a text document opens.
I suppose you're satisfied. I'm scared. I'm scared to the point that I cannot hide my heart anymore. Destroy this file, move it, change its name. The game will end, and so my curse. Leave me here. I beg you. I want to stay here with you, just a little more. Just a little more. But I do know. Farewell.
You then hesitantly delete the file. I'm scared. The end is painted on the door, completely blocked off. You notice the darkness is gone, completely gone. You begin exploring, visiting the many locations you had seen prior. Everything feels good. Outside, you find a grave next to the chair you'd been seeing. After having explored, you should feel relieved, but something feels off. Blaming it on your nerves, you close the game for what you thought to be the final time. But unfortunately for you, something unprecedented was just getting started. After 6 long years pass, while you were sorting through old files, you find a familiar face. Although you vividly remember deleting this file, here it remains right before your very eyes. Somehow you feel drawn to it, a strange desire to take a look back inside Pandora's box just once more, and against your better judgment, you oblige. Opening the game, a wave of ominous nostalgia washes past you. Spending the next few minutes playing through the game as normal, some things appear different. Whiteface isn't present, yet the game plays normally. After reaching the street, a video opens up on your screen, except within is something you definitely do not remember. You immediately recognize the title, having watched the video in the past, but almost as if history changed, the contents have been manipulated.
How to play
How to play with a dead game. Check the games folder for a new file called Drift. Search for the moon.
Taken aback by what you had just seen, you notice something peculiar. Who are you? Returning to the game, the mood has entirely shifted. What you thought to be a trip down memory lane ended up being a very big mistake. The words at the end of the video keep playing in your head.
Sinister harmonies over remnants, earth.
What could this possibly mean? Exiting the street as normal, you are placed in the apartments and still on guard looking out for any changes. A file appears, drift.txt. The aforementioned video did in fact state you would find this, just before mentioning something about moons. This is intended, and you're in too deep to back out now. Something wants your attention. Now it all makes sense. Sinister harmonies over Remnant's Earth. It's incomprehensible because it spells something. Immediately after inputting this, you notice everything has gone white. The ominous whining completely silent. It's just you now, alone. You find the exit door, previously blocked by a wall of flesh, is now an opening to a staircase. How is this even possible? If Whiteface is gone, then how did any of this happen? A middle mouse button or space appears on your screen just as you catch something in your peripheral. A circular shape. You do as you were told, and a tune plays. You continue up the stairs only to find the door is locked, so you turn around, only to hear the door open. This is the roof. except it is impossible to see. While you're up here, you begin to hear sounds that you can't seem to find its source until you look up. Walking back downstairs, you find yet another object, and then another. These have to be the moons being referred to in the video, so where's the fifth? You head back up the stairs to find a moon you don't recall being there before. Everything goes dark. Your vision is confined to a smaller resolution. If the tone shifted before, it is truly shifted even further. Near the bottom of the staircase, clearly someone wants you to enter this room in particular. An unfamiliar room fills your view, a collection of different items you'd found and made use of in the past. How did all of this get here? After exploring for a period of time, you are snapped out of your trance when you notice a text file appeared on your desktop when you weren't looking. Sure.
Turn off the lights in the room where sound does not reach. Turn off the lights in the room with 2 ceiling lights. What if I hid in darkness? Turn off the corridor's lights. Turn off the lights in the room where wishes come true. Now you're all alone, are you not? I'll wait for you in the darkest room.
Instructions? But for what? Clearly, there is only one way to find out, so you get to it. The room where sound does not reach. The room with 2 ceiling lights. The corridor. The room where wishes come true. The room goes dead silent. You're in complete darkness, and so you try to locate the darkest room.
This place is so lonely. I missed you so much. Let's play one last time. So, do you know my name?
There is no way, right? You type out the name Whiteface, hoping deep down it is not the case.
I'm afraid not. It was me all along. What do you think about my Whiteface's imitation? Fell for it? Hope you like this small detour. There's so much things I want to show you. I need more time though. Now, get back to the game's reproduction. You're almost done. See you soon.
You are then placed back in the expected area right before the ending section, and the game fully closes. From here, you are left with many questions. Who is this new person? Why is the game being reproduced? In the case that it is being reproduced, it is clear Whiteface is no longer behind what has been going on. Normally, that should be very calming, but due to the fact that you've never encountered this new entity before, it's anything but. You try to reopen the game. Maybe there's more to see. But you are restricted. Now, it's time to wait. Fortunately for you, the wait did not last long. The game once again making itself known to you. You've been waiting for a sign, and finally, it's here. Initially, you had expected to forget about this game, maybe even not care. Somehow you had grown obsessed. You need to play the game, it's no longer a choice. You quickly open the game, anxious to find out what's been going on all these months. And what you see is exactly what it appeared to be when you left it. The door still blocked off by brick, the world lacking shadow. Although everything looks exactly the same as before, you know there is a reason you were meant to open it. Searching for what felt like hours, right as you were about to give up hope, a file appears on your desktop. Drift.txt. Inside, you find a value, y equals 0. Not entirely certain what this y value corresponds to, there really is only one way to find out. So you change it, and look back at the game. Shockingly, you find yourself outside of the boundaries. You deduce that the value must have correlated to your position on the y-axis, and if not, well, it was a good guess. Although this was very cool, you start to wonder how you were supposed to get back. Clearly, there is nothing out here for you to see. That's when you notice a group of black pixels far into the distance. There is no way, right? As you approach, the mass grows into a humanoid entity. It turns around and faces you before you even came close.
Oi, hello, how are you? We're in time for the decennial, just as I told you. To begin with, let me make a small exposition dump. It's been a long time since Whiteface's death. No matter how many times you relive the experience, the curse has been destroyed. And even if you're living it today for the first time, see it as if you lived a time leap. I suppose it's time to introduce myself. You can call me Restorer. I'm a big IMSCARED fan, and I began this journey with the intention of breaching into its canon. I dug through the files, studied the textures, dissected the code of the curse's remains. In the end, I decided to change my plans. There's no such thing as text inside of I'm Scared Loneliness, except for the pause menu text. I think it's best for us to talk through the escape menu, so that you won't need to access the folder every time I say something. See you in game! Can you read this? Perfect. So, are you curious about my plan? Alright, you can't cross this. Silly me. Use the drift file. I'll be waiting in the car park. Don't forget to press escape when you get there. I'm at the white wall. Come closer. Follow me. Take your time. Turn right. Now go left. Keep moving forward.
A part of you feels skeptical. Are you being set up? You intentionally diverge from the instructed path when
Let's go.
this entire situation doesn't make sense, but clearly you are meant to be here. You reluctantly oblige. Seeing her enter a room at the end of a hallway, you follow shortly behind, and your screen goes white. A familiar setting fills your view, a location you became accustomed with just mere months ago.
Here we are. I don't want you to lose a word of what I have to say, so read me out. From now on, press the E key when you're done reading a sentence, okay? Perfect. And now, welcome to my archive. Kinda bare, I know. I still need to work it out, but it's just a matter of time. It won't be easy, but with some work, this place will be a perfect replica of the test build's archive. Now, let's talk business. Let's talk evil plans. No, wait, before that, I need to ask you something. And beware, choose wisely, for it is irreversible. Just joking. The thing is, what do you want most? To scare or to be scared? Great, I knew it. You've earned this beauty. Check the game's folder with the M key. And remember, don't move the file nor lose it or rename it.
Pressing M, you notice a PNG file located in the folder titled Worker Card. As expected, it's a worker card, but unbeknownst to you, another image titled New Shore had also appeared in the folder. The image appearing to be a moon, with the words, "Do not delete me."
Do you like it? When the time comes, bring that card with you to access the backstage. But restore backstage of what? First things first, dear. My plan consists of 3 phases. First phase, develop a perfect copy of I'm Scared. The goal is to give non-computer players a chance to live the experience. I'm talking about consoles and smartphones. Ivan cannot afford to curse those platforms' user base. A sentient program that takes possession of your device would violate the terms of agreement. Sounds silly, right? That's why we'll take care of it. I did my homeworks, and I'm sure I can do it. Given how the June build well performed, I'll replicate the entire experience and I'll bring it on those devices. But Restore, why do you care about consoles? All part of the plan. Let me get to that. With our replica hitting other systems, I'm Scared will gain popularity. That's where we commence phase 2, the attraction. With your help, I'll populate this place with players. I will educate them about this place's secrets. I will guide them through I'm Scared areas to tell them about the curse that once was. I want to be a tour guide. I'm Scared's tour guide. This was the original idea I had to breach into the story's canon, but then I came out with the plan. And then I came out with phase 3. Sorry, but it's really too soon to talk about that. Pay me a visit every now and then. If I need you for something, I'll let you know in the update's release notes. There is one thing I can tell you before I go. You know, there's a way to turn an entity into data. And I found it! I'll fill this loneliness. I'll give players the sequel they're longing for. Let's make this game a profitable entry. See you soon then.
Returning to the game, you notice the archive has changed, so naturally you decide to do some investigating. There's no way this entity would enter the game and not alter it in more ways than what's apparent. As expected, you find something in the distance. That has to be the attraction Restore was referring to. It is, of course, very far away, so not much to uncover here to your displeasure. You head up to the roof of the apartments, and you see her once again.
Hey, rooftop, rooftop, rooftop. How are you doing, partner? I know I'm late. I'm doing great, I think. Almost done with the archive, finally. Things are moving pretty slowly, but bear with me a little more. Now, follow me downstairs. Can you see that? Do you know what that is? It's nothing. It's a flat sprite. Just like me. I thought it'd be fun to mock VIP players with it. I'll tell them that it's the nefarious attraction. Let's make them believe there's something hidden in here. Tell them you've seen the attraction, a ghost, a cat, or I don't know, just come up with something. Put your filthy peeper brain to work. It'll be fun, and it's also a test of trust if you think about it. Let's see how many of you are cheaters. I'll go and get some fresh air now. Touch some grass and such, you know? See you later, partner.
You consider everything she had just told you. More people have played this? Of course, this makes sense. If you found it, obviously others will too. Interesting to think about. You decide to, once again, take a break and check back in a few hours from now. After much searching, eventually you find something peculiar. I also took Penelope appears flashing alongside the normal escape to close the game menu. Who is Penelope? Clearly you're missing something. Your desire to search heightens, and just as you leave the room, you notice this maze you remember distinctly being closed at one point in the past is now open. Well, this has to be new, so let's take a look, shall we?
Oh dear, looks like someone has borrowed the pretty red leaf statue. Who could possibly have been?
Me. It was me.
Restorer lies faceless ahead of you, something you hadn't seen before. She isn't responding. No messages appear in the pause menu. An error message with an interesting sounding code. Clearly there is more than meets the eye. Your first instinct, this has to be a piece of a web address, one standing out the most in your brain being YouTube. Surely this is it. Scrolling down and taking a look at the video description, you find
I broke in. Also, if you're still in the labyrinth, get back to the archive. Come on!
Before moving on, you decide to continue inspecting the video further, and in doing so, you realize while the text appears on the screen, at second glance you see Restorer lurking in the background, gone unnoticed, almost as if she wasn't there before. Of course, you were also given an instruction. It's too late for you to back down now. From here, you begin leaving the labyrinth, then making your way out of the parlor, you find yourself in the car park directly beside the door to the archive. Whatever is behind this door, you feel a sense of unease. You enter. Everything looks ordinary, just as it was before. Restorer has to be around here somewhere, right? Almost as if summoned by the words leaving your mind, she stands ominously in the darkest portion of the area, facing a door. You have no choice but to approach.
Say, does all of this bore you? I can see how this situation could be seen as weird and repetitive, but there's very little that can be done with a dead world. I wanted to be more present while moving in these last months, but I feared it could have been just a waste of time for us both. I could be wrong in any case. I'm almost done. Soon, only VIP badge and worker card holders will have access to this place. Loneliness will turn back as it was in the beginning, and this secret reality of ours will become even more secret. Hang in there.
And just like that, the room she enters is now locked, leaving you in the dark once again. Understanding the current dynamic, you know there will be some downtime before you two will interact again. So you take a look back at the YouTube video you saw on the Barrier channel and consider something you hadn't before. Just before the text appears on screen, you're encouraged to listen closely. And in doing so, you realize the audio track has a very distinct sound that plays while the words are on screen. Surely not, right? You decide to place this file into a spectrogram. Only then do you realize this was no coincidence. This is now the second time you've heard of this Penelope without ever being formally introduced. You begin tearing through every file this game has given you, trying to understand anything about this mysterious individual. One in particular being a black square titled doesit.png. You decide to edit the image just to see if there is anything something this insubstantial has to offer. And to your surprise, a QR code ascends from the darkness. Against your better judgment, upon scanning it, you're taken to a web page locked behind a password. Immediately, you start typing any password you can think of: whiteface, her, restorer, 6 will do, bury her, to no luck. Until you consider one last series of words. Penelope does not exist. And just like that, you're in.
Access prohibited to unauthorized personnel. A profitable place for profitable people.
A download link featured at the bottom. Key to the archive door, C1, C2, C3, VIPs only, and branching. You quickly find that C1 through C3 and VIPs only are all locked behind passwords, noticing they are all video files, though Attraction, the key to the archive door, is fully accessible. Immediately, you place it inside of the games folder, reopen the game, and try the door.
Of course not, silly. You should know by now that this is a game of wait, so keep waiting. Meanwhile, we can play a different little game, one in which you won't be able to see a thing. And in exchange, I'll give you the passwords you're looking for. The rules are simple. You're stuck inside an old, damp cottage. You need to get out. Feel the floor by walking, feel your surroundings by knocking, interact with left click. Be sure to know what you're interacting with before doing so. There's no save system, so you better do this when you have some time to spare. Are you ready? Have fun!
Your screen is completely blocked. Sounds fill your ears from all around you. You begin walking and knocking on the various surfaces ahead. Wardrobe, sofa, wood, everything you'd expect to be in such a building. An exit door lies ahead of you. It is locked. Eventually, after what felt like an eternity, knocking on every surface in the room, you pick up a key, eventually making your way to the aforementioned door. A sequence of new sounds flood your ears. You're now outside. The vaguely eerie peace is soon cut off by an ear-piercing sound. The first password. You quickly write it down and continue. 2 more passwords remain. As you pass a nearby fountain, a particular series of sharp rhythmic sounds can be heard from somewhere unknown to you. Though as you try to approach, the sound feels growingly distant, as if you frustratingly can't quite reach it. You continue knocking on every surface around you, trying to get a sense of the layout, though this is nearly impossible. Alongside the incomprehensible sound, you hear water dripping, in which you decide to approach. As you aimlessly walk through this location, you, by sheer luck, find rust solvent near some tools. The rust solvent you find allows you to open a fridge, which holds a faucet. Although, in theory, returning to the sink sounds simple enough, the lack of spatial awareness proves to hinder your abilities. Suddenly, although you are not entirely sure what you had done, a password is a password. You're outside. You vaguely know where the sink is. This should be simple with nothing strange in your way, right? The only thing you can do is pretend you didn't hear that. You apply the faucet. The bathroom key falls out. Now to find this particular door, which you find easier than you expected. You find bolt cutters. Text appears reading, "This is disgusting." The game closes, and an image appears on your desktop, k.png, an image of something incredibly distorted. You notice the final password in letters spread across 10 image files. After inputting these passwords, you take each of the videos in order and combine them into one singular video. Immediately, you recognize the archive is in a completely different location, the view outside of the door being presumably in the middle of nowhere. The video shows someone walking through many hallways, signs on the walls showing car park and station, locations which you've come to know very well. A building, vaguely resembling the market, fills your peripheral, while an unfamiliar moon design lies ahead. Surely there is more to this, right? After all, you have one file remaining. There has to be some way of getting into this. Then you receive a message. You open the locked file and paste the code you were sent. Sure enough, it works. A new section is shown. Building, with a keypad and the numbers 55734628 appearing shortly thereafter. The portion at the end, "Until next time," rings in your head. So many questions, and yet no answers in sight. Every new find unearths more than you could have anticipated. Who is Penelope? Who is Restorer? What is the attraction? Clearly there is some ulterior motive. You never were told about Plan 3. However, one thing you know for certain is when the plan is in motion, the Restorer will bring you back one way or another. Though for now, you must wait. Hello. This is a bit candid, but I'd like to quickly thank you for watching today's video. This took me so long to make, so if you enjoyed it, it would mean the world to me if you like, comment, and share the video with anyone you feel would be interested. I'd also like to thank my amazing channel members for supporting me each and every month. Thank you again to Anita, Cocoloco, Funsum, and Zach for purchasing the GLoWhNo consumer membership tier. And if you'd like to have your name shown and or read in future videos, click the join button down below. If you do, I appreciate you so much. Okay, love you, bye.